Washington, D.C. became the latest stage for a high-stakes Hollywood drama today, February 4, 2026. The setting was not a soundstage, but a formal hearing room in the United States Senate. The star of the show was Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos, who faced a panel of skeptical lawmakers. He was there to defend his company's ambitious and controversial $83 billion proposal to acquire Warner Bros. Discovery. The air in the room was thick with tension, as senators prepared to question a deal that could fundamentally reshape the media landscape, not just in America, but across the globe. This was more than a business meeting, it was a public examination of corporate power and its impact on everyday life. The hearing was convened by the Senate Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Antitrust, Competition Policy, and Consumer Rights. Its purpose was to scrutinize the potential consequences of merging two of the world's most powerful entertainment companies. Senators from both political parties, including prominent voices like Senator Amy Klobuchar and Senator Mike Lee, had expressed serious reservations. They were concerned that such a consolidation could harm competition, eliminate jobs, and ultimately leave consumers with fewer choices and higher bills. The hearing provided a critical platform for these concerns to be aired directly to the executive proposing the merger. Mr. Sarandos, a seasoned veteran of the entertainment industry, arrived prepared to make his case. His task was to persuade the committee that this merger was not about creating a dominant, unchallengeable giant. Instead, he framed it as a necessary evolution in a rapidly changing market. He argued the deal would unlock new creative possibilities and deliver unprecedented value to subscribers. For Netflix, the stakes could not be higher. Gaining the Senate's, and by extension the public's, approval was a crucial step in a long and complex regulatory journey that will determine the future of two iconic brands. As the proceedings began, it was clear that the senators were not going to be easily swayed by corporate talking points. They came armed with pointed questions about market share, the fate of thousands of industry workers, and the potential for the new entity to wield immense cultural influence. The hearing was a critical stress test for the merger, forcing Netflix to publicly account for its plans and promises. The answers given in this room could very well decide whether this $83 billion deal lives or dies, and in doing so, chart the course for the next era of entertainment. At the heart of Ted Sarandos' testimony was a straightforward and appealing promise to the American consumer, more for less. He repeatedly argued that combining Netflix's vast streaming infrastructure with Warner Bros.' legendary content library would create a synergy that benefits viewers above all. Our goal, Sarandos stated, is to offer a more robust and diverse library of films and series than ever before, without passing the cost on to our subscribers. He painted a picture of a future where one subscription could unlock a universe of entertainment, from Netflix originals like Stranger Things to Warner Bros. Classics like The Dark Knight and HBO's prestige dramas. This vision was designed to frame the merger as a pro-consumer move in an increasingly crowded marketplace. Sarandos elaborated on this point by explaining the operational efficiencies that would be gained. By integrating the two companies, he suggested they could streamline marketing, technology development, and global distribution efforts. These savings, he pledged, would be reinvested directly into producing more original content and acquiring a wider variety of programming. This would create a virtuous cycle. A better service attracts more subscribers, which in turn provides more resources for content creation. He presented the merger not as a consolidation of power, but as a strategic move to build a more efficient and creative engine for storytelling, ultimately serving a global audience hungry for quality entertainment. To counter the narrative of a corporate behemoth swallowing a competitor, Sarandos characterized Netflix and Warner Bros. Discovery's services as complementary. He argued that while Netflix has built its brand on a binge-watching model with a broad catalog, HBO Max has focused on a curated, weekly release schedule for its high-end productions. By bringing these different approaches under one roof, the combined company could cater to a wider spectrum of viewing habits and preferences. This would not be about eliminating a choice, he insisted, but about combining two different strengths to create a single, superior entertainment destination that offers unparalleled variety and value. Finally, Sarandos leaned on Netflix's history as an industry disruptor that has, in his view, consistently benefited consumers. He reminded the committee that Netflix pioneered the streaming model, forcing traditional media companies to adapt and offer their own direct-to-consumer services, which increase choice and competition. He positioned this merger as the next logical step in that evolution. By joining forces with Warner Bros., he claimed Netflix would once again raise the bar, compelling competitors like Disney and Amazon to innovate further and improve their own offerings. The message was clear: this deal would spur competition, not stifle it. Despite Ted Sarandos' optimistic presentation, senators on the committee expressed deep-seated fears about the merger's impact on competition. Senator Klobuchar, the subcommittee's chair, led the charge, questioning whether the deal would create a media titan with too much market power. When we see two of the largest players in an industry join forces, we have to ask, what does this mean for the smaller startups? What does this mean for the independent creators? She asked. The primary worry was that a combined Netflix-Warner Bros. Would become so dominant that it could effectively set prices and terms for the entire streaming industry, leaving little room for smaller services to compete or for new ones to emerge. The senators' questions often returned to the concept of a monopsony in the creative marketplace. This is a situation where one major buyer, in this case, the new, larger Netflix, has so much power that it can dictate terms to sellers, who are the writers, directors, and actors. Lawmakers voiced concern that the combined entity could suppress wages and creative fees, knowing that creators would have fewer alternative major studios to sell their projects to. This could reduce the diversity of stories being told, as the company might favor only the most commercially safe projects, squeezing out riskier or more niche ideas that a more competitive market might support. Sarandos countered these concerns by insisting that the entertainment landscape would remain fiercely competitive. He frequently listed the company's powerful rivals, including Disney+, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV+, and Peacock, as evidence that a healthy multipolar ecosystem exists. We compete with some of the largest and most well-capitalized companies on the planet, Sarandos asserted. This is not a market where any single player can rest. We have to earn our customers' attention every single day. His argument was that the sheer scale of competitors like Disney and Amazon would provide a natural check on Netflix's power, forcing it to continue innovating and offering competitive pricing. However, the committee remained skeptical of this defense. Senators pointed out that while several large competitors exist, the merger would still represent a massive consolidation, reducing the number of major buyers and distributors. They drew parallels to past mergers in other industries, such as telecommunications and airlines, where initial promises of consumer benefits were followed by price hikes and reduced service quality once competition dwindled. The hearing underscored a fundamental disagreement. While Netflix saw a dynamic market full of giants, the senators saw a shrinking field that could be on the verge of becoming a playground for a few dominant titans, with consumers and creators paying the price. The potential human cost of the merger was a recurring and emotional theme throughout the Senate hearing. Lawmakers from states with significant production industries like California and Georgia pressed Ted Sarandos on the fate of the thousands of employees who could be affected. Mergers of this magnitude are often followed by significant layoffs as the new company seeks to eliminate redundancies, roles that are duplicated across both organizations. Senators expressed grave concerns that writers, camera operators, set designers, marketing staff, and administrative personnel at both Netflix and Warner Bros. Could find themselves out of a job. In response to these pointed questions, Sarandos made a firm commitment to job preservation and creation. This merger is about growth, not cuts, he stated emphatically. By combining our resources, we will be in a position to produce more shows and more movies than ever before. More productions mean more jobs, for actors, for crews, for everyone in the creative ecosystem. He highlighted Netflix's track record of investing billions annually in productions that support local economies and create employment opportunities across the country and the world, framing the acquisition as a catalyst for even greater investment in the workforce. Despite these assurances, labor unions representing Hollywood workers have been vocal in their opposition to the deal, and senators echoed their skepticism. They asked for more than just verbal promises, seeking concrete guarantees that the existing collective bargaining agreements with unions like SAG-AFTRA and the WGA would be honored and strengthened. The fear is that a more powerful, consolidated employer could have greater leverage in negotiations, potentially eroding the wages, benefits, and working conditions that unions have fought for over decades. The stability of the industry's middle-class workers was a central point of contention. The discussion highlighted the deep anxiety that corporate consolidation creates for the creative community. While executives focus on synergy and shareholder value, the workforce worries about their livelihoods and the future of their craft. Sarandos's challenge was to convince the committee that his vision of growth was not just a corporate talking point, but a tangible plan that would translate into real, stable jobs for the talented individuals who bring stories to life. The senators made it clear that protecting these workers would be a key condition for any potential approval of the deal. A significant portion of the hearing was dedicated to the future of the Warner Brothers brand itself, an iconic studio with a century-long history. Senators worried that Netflix, known for its data-driven streaming-first mentality, might dismantle the historic studio or absorb it to the point where its unique identity is lost. Responding to this, Ted Sarandos made a series of crucial promises designed to reassure both Hollywood and Washington that he intended to be a respectful steward of the Warner Brothers legacy. He explicitly stated that the Warner Brothers studio lot in Burbank would be preserved and would continue to operate as a hub of creative production. One of the most specific and important commitments made by Sarandos concerned the theatrical movie experience. The rise of streaming has created enormous tension with cinema owners, and many feared this merger would accelerate the decline of movie theaters. To allay these fears, Sarandos pledged to maintain a minimum 45-day exclusive theatrical window for all Warner Brothers blockbuster films. This means that major movies like a new Batman or Wonder Woman film would play only in theaters for over 6 weeks, before being made available on Netflix. This promise was a major concession aimed directly at theater chains and cinephiles who value the big screen experience. Sarandos also spoke about preserving the distinct creative cultures of the different divisions within Warner Brothers Discovery. He signaled that units like HBO, known for its high-quality, auteur-driven television, would be allowed to continue operating with the creative independence that has defined its success. The message was that Netflix was not buying Warner Brothers to turn it into a content factory modeled after its own operations. Instead, he presented the acquisition as a way to provide a global platform and stable financial backing for the diverse and successful creative engines that already exist within the Warner Brothers empire. These pledges were strategically important for building goodwill. They showed an awareness that Warner Brothers is more than just a collection of assets. It is a cultural institution. By promising to protect its physical home, its commitment to theaters, and its creative spirit, Sarandos aimed to diffuse criticism that the deal was a hostile takeover. He sought to frame it as a partnership where the strengths of a legacy studio and a new media pioneer could be combined, preserving the best of the old Hollywood system while powering it with the technology and reach of the new. The hearing inevitably ventured into the sensitive territory of content moderation and cultural influence. With a potential subscriber base of over 500 million people globally, senators questioned the immense power the combined Netflix-Warner Brothers would have to shape public opinion and cultural norms. Questions arose about whether the company could use its platform to promote a specific social or political ideology, either intentionally or through the subtle biases of its content algorithms. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle expressed concern over the concentration of such influential soft power within a single corporate entity. Ted Sarandos met these concerns with a robust defense of Netflix's commitment to creative freedom and viewpoint diversity. "We are not in the business of politics, we are in the business of entertainment," he declared. "Our platform exists to connect storytellers with audiences. We believe in the First Amendment, and we believe our members are smart enough to choose for themselves what they want to watch." He argued that the company's global success is built on offering a wide variety of stories that reflect different cultures, perspectives, and values, not on pushing a single monolithic worldview. The committee members pressed further, citing past controversies over specific shows on Netflix and asking how the new company would handle sensitive or politically charged content. They wanted to understand the process by which Netflix decides what gets produced, what gets promoted on its homepage, and what might be removed in response to government pressure or public outcry. The underlying issue was one of accountability. Who holds a global media giant responsible for its content decisions, and how can the public be sure those decisions are made fairly and transparently? Sarandos maintained that the company's primary guide is its audience. He explained that content decisions are based on what they believe their diverse membership wants to see, not on any internal political agenda. He emphasized that the goal is to provide a platform for a multitude of voices, even those that might be controversial. While his answers were meant to be reassuring, the exchange highlighted a broader, unresolved debate in modern society about the role and responsibility of massive media platforms in a polarized world. The hearing made it clear that as these companies grow, so too will the scrutiny of their cultural impact. For the average American family, the most pressing question about the merger is simple: what will it do to my monthly bill? Throughout the hearing, this issue was a central point of debate. Ted Sarandos and Netflix have built their public case for the deal around the promise of consumer savings. He argued that the efficiencies gained by combining the two companies would not only prevent price increases, but could potentially lead to lower subscription costs. The logic presented was that a larger, more efficient company could spread its operational costs over a much bigger subscriber base, creating savings that could be passed on to customers. To bolster this claim, Sarandos argued that the merger would intensify price competition across the entire streaming market. If the new unified service offers an unparalleled library of content from both Netflix and Warner Bros. At an affordable price, it would put immense pressure on competitors like Disney+, Amazon Prime Video, and Apple TV Plus to keep their own prices low to remain attractive. In this scenario, the consumer wins, as all the major players are forced to compete on value and price, preventing any one service from unilaterally raising its rates without consequence. This vision positions Netflix as a champion for affordable entertainment. However, senators on the committee voiced strong and persistent skepticism about this rosy outlook. They argued that basic economic principles suggest the opposite is more likely. By eliminating a major competitor, HBO Max, from the market, the merger would reduce the overall level of competition. With fewer major streaming options available, the new, more powerful Netflix would have greater leverage to raise prices in the future. The concern is that while prices might remain low in the short term to win regulatory approval, they could creep up steadily once the deal is done and the market has consolidated. This clash represents the fundamental tension at the heart of the antitrust review. On one side, you have the company's promise of efficiency leading to lower prices. On the other, you have the regulator's fear of reduced competition leading to higher prices. Senators pointed to other industries where similar mergers led to consumer price hikes, using historical precedent to question Netflix's promises. The ultimate impact on consumer wallets remains the great unknown of this deal, and the hearing did more to highlight the disagreement than to resolve it, leaving the public to wonder which future will come to pass. Ted Sarandos was not the only executive in the hot seat. He was joined by Bruce Campbell, the Chief Revenue and Strategy Officer for Warner Bros. Discovery. Campbell's presence was crucial as it presented a united front and countered any narrative that this was a hostile takeover. He delivered a strong, supportive testimony, echoing and reinforcing the key arguments made by Sarandos. Campbell's primary message was that this merger was a forward-looking move, essential for the long-term health and competitiveness of the Warner Bros. Library in a global, digital-first era. Campbell emphasized that the deal was fundamentally pro-consumer because it would dramatically expand the content available under a single service. Imagine a world where the best of Netflix's original programming sits side by side with the entire catalog of Warner Bros. Films, HBO series, and Discovery's unscripted content, he proposed. That is the world this merger makes possible. He argued that bringing these vast and varied libraries together would create a service of unprecedented value, giving customers more choice and a richer viewing experience than either company could offer alone. A key new idea introduced by Campbell was the potential for innovative and consumer-friendly pricing models, such as bundled discounts. He suggested that the combined company could offer various subscription tiers, potentially including packages that bundle streaming with other Warner Bros. Discovery assets, like CNN's news services or sports programming. This would give consumers more flexibility to choose a plan that fits their budget and interests, moving beyond the one-size-fits-all subscription model. This was presented as another tangible benefit, a clear example of how the merger could lead to more options and better deals for customers. Ultimately, Campbell portrayed the merger as a strategic necessity in a market dominated by tech giants like Apple and Amazon. He argued that for a legacy media company like Warner Bros. To compete effectively on a global scale, it needs the technological prowess and massive distribution network that Netflix has built. By joining forces, he contended, they could create a truly formidable American media company capable of exporting its stories to the world and standing strong against powerful, deep-pocketed competitors. His testimony framed the deal not as the end of an era for Warner Brothers, but as the beginning of a vibrant new chapter. As the Senate hearing concluded, it was clear that more questions were raised than answered. Ted Sarandos and Bruce Campbell presented a compelling vision of a future with more content, lower prices, and more jobs. However, the senators' persistent and skeptical questioning highlighted significant risks related to competition, consumer costs, and the livelihoods of Hollywood workers. No firm conclusions were reached, and the path forward for this $83 billion mega-merger remains shrouded in uncertainty. This hearing was just one early, albeit very public step in what will be a long and arduous regulatory review process. The next major hurdle will be a formal investigation by the Department of Justice and potentially the Federal Trade Commission. These federal agencies will conduct a much deeper, more detailed antitrust analysis than the Senate committee. They will look at market share data, internal company documents, and the potential for anti-competitive behavior. The Department of Justice has the power to either approve the deal, approve it with specific conditions, such as forcing the sale of certain assets, or file a lawsuit to block it entirely. The tone of today's hearing suggests that the agencies will face political pressure to scrutinize this deal very closely. The outcome of that regulatory review is far from certain. The current administration has signaled a more aggressive stance on antitrust enforcement, particularly concerning large technology and media companies. The promises made by Sarandos during the hearing, such as preserving the 45-day theatrical window and protecting jobs, may become legally binding conditions if the deal is to have any chance of approval. The companies will likely spend the coming months in intense negotiations with regulators, trying to find a compromise that satisfies concerns about market power while keeping the core strategic benefits of the merger intact. For now, the entertainment industry and the public are left to wait and watch. The questions raised in the Senate chamber today will continue to echo through the halls of Washington and the studios of Hollywood. Will this merger create a consumer-friendly powerhouse that unleashes a new golden age of content, or will it lead to a less competitive market with higher prices and fewer creative voices? The final answer will not only determine the fate of Netflix and Warner Brothers, but will also set a major precedent for the future of media and technology in the 21st century.